All right, everybody. Here we are working back on my RAM. Um, there's uh, a few different steps to get everything done. This I need to do. I need to do ball joints because ball joints are cooked. I need to install the axle shafts. I need to install the axle set, the center set. Um, Put the diff cover back on, fill with diff fluid, put the new hubs on, put the brakes all back on, and then put the tires back on. So it's all going to be in stages. This lower ball joint actually has slid down, which is the reason I'm going to be replacing all of them, because 200,000 miles is enough, and they need to be fixed. I plan to do the whole front end at one point with all new steering components, but I'm getting probably about half of it done right now. So this is an extremely useful toolkit. It's made specifically for ball joints. These are pressed in, so they have to be pressed out and back in. And that's what this is for. This will do pretty much anything, and it's insanely heavy duty. Now, I get that not everybody has access to tools like these. This is mine. I didn't rent this. But you can rent pretty much any tool that you need from your local auto parts store. So things like these are available at AutoZone or O'Reilly or any number of auto parts stores. They usually carry something like this that you can rent. I'm going to show you guys a trick that I have used in the past. Now, this nut on here for this bottom ball joint, it's quite rusty, but I believe the actual size is 1 1/16. I have 1 1/8. It fits, but there's a little bit of play, and being 12 points, it's more likely to slip. This fits mostly, but it's a little rusty. So we're going to try this first, but try to show you guys this. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this socket is cracked from top to bottom. I also have a socket specially for my big half-ton vehicle, or half-ton, my big full-ton vehicle that nobody has seen yet. That it sits in the back of the barn and never gets used. And I have a socket for the lug nuts, but that socket is also cracked. When you're in a pinch, there is a trick that works really good, and it involves hose clamps. So when you have a cracked socket and you put torquing motion on it, it'll want to open that crack up and even break the socket or round off the nut. And the best way that I have discovered is to take a couple hose clamps like you find on your cooling system on your car, and you just slip the hose clamps over the socket. Now, of course, if this needs to go in a tight area, it's probably not going to work. But other than that, this is a great stupid thing stuck. This is a great trick because once you snug the clamps down, and they don't need to be super tight, just, snug them down. This socket can no longer open up. It can't explode. There's not enough torque that can be given to this socket to make it break. So let's go ahead and see about getting this top and bottom nut off here so we can get these ball joints out. This truck has been sitting for 5 months over winter. I know this is a project that should have been done a long time ago, and I do apologize. Life gets in the way all the time. When you have a farm, life gets in the way. When you have your own house, life gets in the way. And unfortunately, things just that were more important than my truck getting done came up. And considering I have my car, I just drove my car over the winter. So now that things have calmed down some, we can go ahead and get back to this and get this taken care of and get the car taken care of and go from there. So I hope, oh boy, that's going to be a tight fit. I might need to jack it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay, well, so let's get this jacked up in the air a bit higher. I could probably just use a swivel to turn it out a little bit, but if I have to, I will. Otherwise, that's much better. All right. So let's go ahead and get these nuts off of here. Then I can use the press to get the ball joints out, press the new ones in, and the ball joints are done. Then we'll jump on getting the center section in, and then I can get the mid shaft in, axle shafts in, then I can get my four-wheel drive selector back attached, and then just you keep working at the puzzle till all the puzzle pieces are there. Oh boy, there we go. And now, odds are that'll never come back out on its own. So, what you do, just thread it on a few threads and just walk it off, just like that. All right, so that nut is off. So now we got one up here. Now this one had a cotter pin. Something this rusty, you're never going to get that cotter pin out. Your best bet is to take a pliers or a needle nose and just break each side of the cotter pin off. And then whatever you're using to take the nut off will usually just shear whatever is left of that cotter pin, and the nut will come right off. All right, so here is my extension. Now I have learned from a few episodes ago of shattering the standard swivel, not extension, swivel. I have learned that impacts need impact pieces. Anything that you see like this that's dark and that chrome is more than likely impact. This I bought as an actual impact set because I'm tired of breaking stuff. And that's what happens when you put high loads on standard items. Yeah, even that, I need an extension. So here's my extension. And because it's a impact swivel, I suppose I'm going to need to get a shorter extension. Yeah, I need a 3-inch extension. Because it's an impact swivel, it doesn't bend all the way down to like 70 degrees. It's only got like, that much. But it's better than not having any at all. Yeah, see, that's all you get out of a impact swivel. But, hey, whatever you can do to get the job done, I guess. I just hope I don't have to do this by hand. Oh boy. Well, it's not being very friendly, is it? Time for a breaker bar. If I'm lucky, I'll get the nut to break free. If it starts to spin, I'm in trouble because that means it's spinning inside the ball joint. And that's going to cause a bit of an issue. Well, that either broke free or it didn't. Looks like it might have. And it's kind of catchy. And what it's doing is it's catching on the tiny bit of cotter pin that's still left as it shears the cotter pin off of each side. But it's turning and it's coming off ever so slowly. Hell. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I sure did. Watch the whole assembly drop down as that nut came off. Bad joints. Bad joints indeed. There we go. Alright, so that's all trash anyway. So now we're going to use my nice ball joint set here, which is got a million different pieces to it, so it's kind of a guessing game. You just take you You know, as a matter of fact, I think first I'm going to get this knuckle off of here, because that knuckle should just drop down now. So, I don't have a hammer over here right yet. I don't want to separate it from the steering if I don't have to. But I will probably have to get a bigger hammer. When all else fails, get a bigger hammer. So, I think this qualifies as a bigger hammer. Yeah, that's a little broken there. I should probably tape that up, but if it gets the job done. There we go. Oh, would you look at that? That ball joint was supposed to stay in here. That ball joint is so worn. It came out with that. That's not necessarily a good thing. That means that hole could actually be too worn for my new ball joint, and if that's the case, I don't really have a choice but to weld the new one in. But I'm just hoping that this is just worn. Probably going to have to press that out somehow. It should just hammer out. It should have just hammered out, but it came out of there, which I'm not happy about. You know, let's just find out now. Let me go get the new ball joint. And if the new ball joint just presses in without the tool, then it's going to have to be welded. And hopefully that's not the case. Well, here's the bottom joint. Let's see. Because these are not meant to just slide right in. Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Shoot. That means I am actually going to have to clean all this up to bare metal and grind this coating off of here. And I'm going to have to actually spot weld individual welds one by one to not heat up the grease that's in here, because the heat will transfer from here to here. It's probably going to take me a half an hour to weld this up, because this is going to be a slow and tedious process. So I will spare you that insanity, and I'll show you what it's like when it's done. That means getting this one out here and getting that out of there. I was a little nervous about that one. When I first saw that the ball joint had dropped down out of the hole, got me a little nervous, and that nervousness was right. Darn it. Alrighty, well, oh, you are just going to be a butt, aren't you? I guess we'll start here. So, this joint right here, yeah, that's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to move up and down. It's supposed to move side to side. This joint comes in from the top going down, so I have to push it up to get it out. So that means what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a cup that fits over this outer ring. So it's not that. There we go. So that way when I push it up, it'll go up into the cup. I may need a deeper. It's going to be close. I think I'm probably going to need a deeper cup. And in that case, you take a taller cup like that and one of the rings here, set it like that. Then you are looking for something to press against this bottom flange here. So it's a puzzle, a mysterious puzzle. Yeah, see, that won't even, well, there we go. And that's too darn big. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, what the heck? How am I supposed to push up on that? This is a truck after all. So, I mean, it's not like it's a Geo Metro. So these parts are much bigger than standard. So what is the catch? Well, I guess we can try this and see if this works. Not sure I will, but hey, give it a try anyway, right? Okay, so this is where things get tricky because I have to thread everything through here. So go up through there and through there. And that's not the right way. This way. All right, I gotta figure this out because something's not right here. Let's try this. Isn't exactly perfect, but we'll give it a shot. How about that? Now I just got to find the right socket. There we go. Yeah, I'm willing to bet, though, my impact isn't going to fit under all this, is it? Oh, just barely, it looks like. So, as long as I don't break this socket, this will go up, it'll push on the ball joint, and it should push it out of the cup. Woo! That is not friendly. Now, that's a 260 foot-pound impact. It's not the strongest by any means, but it's definitely not weak either. Sometimes a little hit to the side will relieve the tension that's being created by the ball joint moving around. Man. I really wish you guys could be here to feel what kind of torque I'm putting on this thing. Last thing I want is this baby to explode in my face. Well, that's interesting. I think it just pushed through the top. So that's going to create a whole nother ball of wax. So, yep. It literally pushed through the top. I don't know if you can see all the cracks going on there. So this one is so rusted in place, it won't come out. And the bottom one was so loose, it fell out. Well, that's definitely going to cause some issues. Now, technically, I was supposed to press on this outer ring here, but I don't understand what I'm not seeing here. Oh, there it is. Of course, the tiniest darn thing possible. So, how do I make that work? Okay. Too many parts to this puzzle. I don't like this puzzle. Well, I suppose what I'm going to have to do here I'm going to have to push that through, I guess. I'll have to push this stupid thing out of here. Get away, mosquito. Well, there's the inside of a ball joint. Nice and greasy like. So now I can take that little cup this is so sketchy. I don't know what the hell. Okay. So now we're going to try to push this out the wrong way. All right, so I got the top cup, that's right. But this is the smallest one I got. That is so weird. And it's kind of sitting in this little dish that's sitting on top of this. So technically, I know the light's not the best, guys. I'm sorry, but it is just there is not enough hours in the day for me to get everything done. So now we're going to try to pop this girl out this way. Now everything is in a straight line, so wish I had a better space to aim this hand light at, because I know it's hard for you guys to see, and it's hard for me to see. It doesn't make the best videos when nobody can see it. Well, that's a bit better. And if I can barely pull this, my impact sure ain't pulling it. Oh boy. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get this out without heating this up. She does not want to go. Not one bit. Well, I can't imagine I'm going to get her with a little rinky-dinky propane torch, but hey, we'll see. Now what I want to do is heat this outside ring. I don't want to heat the ball joint because that's going to make the ball joint expand. What I want is the ring to expand that the ball joint sits in. And this could actually pop even without me touching it. There is so much torque sitting on this right now that if I heat that ring up enough, and all it decides it wants to let go, yeah, it's going to let go. It shouldn't break, but it'll let go. Let's put my face back a little further. I don't have any MAP gas or anything like that, so I'm reduced to propane torches. There's only a handful of things that I really don't have. A nice torch setup would be great. I mean, if any of you guys want to buy me one, cool, let me know. I'll gladly accept it. And I have a lot of automotive shop tools that I have bought and acquired over the years, so I'm not missing a whole lot. But there are some of the big essentials that I am missing. And if this doesn't work, well, then that's just going to be it for the night. And I'm just going to have to spray some penetrating lubricant on here and try to, hopefully it'll creep in, and then be back at this tomorrow. Because if this ball joint tool doesn't do it, and torch with the ball joint tool doesn't do it, going to need some more power. Nothing wrong with more power, as Tim Allen used to say. Home Improvement, the original Manly Man show. He had another TV series that can't remember. I thought it was like in the early 2010s or something. He had another family TV series that was conservative based. Absolutely hilarious. Loved it to death. I have to look that up again, because that was great. Good, wholesome, funny, conservative entertainment. Something Hollywood has no idea how to make. She must be getting hot. She's smoking, starting to smell that burnt grease in there. You can see it bubbling out. See, what I need is I need a torch that will let me get that nice and hot, nice and orange. Propane just doesn't have that power. You need propane or methacetylene and oxygen. That's when you get a good torch going. Well, let's check this out. See if this does it. If not, I'll have to lube her up something good and call it a night. Oh. It is turning the entire clamp. Wow. Now what I should be working on is my car, because I actually have some pretty big issues with the car right now. But if I'm working on the car and the truck and I need a vehicle, I'm out of luck. So it's a hard decision. Do I gamble and break them both, or hope I don't? I'm gonna try one last thing here. Like I said, get a bigger hammer. And there she went. And that's what I meant about the torque on it, the tension. you saw it all of a sudden just give. And that's what tapping on the side of this was doing, is it was sending shocks. It was sending shocks through the system, and eventually it would have to release. So now it should just be a matter of pressing it out like that. She's going up now. Alrighty. Now I'm at the top of the cap, which is why it just stopped. So what I'm going to have to do is figure out what the next... Oh, that's a little on the warm side. Woo! Hot potato. Hot potato. That is what is called heat transference, going from one object to another. Ugh. Well, what can I use to get that out there? Because although she's right near the top, still rusty to beat all heck. So I need something that I can put in there. And then we put a nice tall cup with a nice dingle over that. And then we'll thread this down some so I can get a socket on here. And then we'll should just be able to use the socket to press up into there. And that'll press it all the rest of the way out. When you don't have everything you need, sometimes you just gotta improvise. Okay. Now let me guess, that was the, nope, I was gonna say, that was the socket I needed, but no. Yeah, it's right here. And she's out, just like that. I'll tell you, it would have been damn near impossible without this kit. Nice and hot to the touch, completely obliterated. So, next step is to clean this off some and press the new one in. Now, I'm not gonna, doesn't need to be spotless, doesn't need to be perfect, just doesn't need to be completely encased in rust. So let's go ahead and get the upper one here. So this is the upper ball joint. Comes with a cotter pin and a new grease nipple. And you can see, new nut, new everything. One thing that I do like to avoid when doing this is these rubber boots are really easy to tear. So if you can take it off, set it aside, take it off, because you don't need that boot going through this hole and getting pinched and torn as it's being pressed in. So now this one is just the reverse of how it came out. It needs to go in. Needs to be pressed down in. So to do that, we find one of these lovelies here. Move that out of the way. Got a million different options. Let's see. What I need is something that goes over the edge of this and comes down right on top of that lip. Well, that's way too big. That's way too small. And that is just right. So now what it's about is pressing downwards and not catching this at all. So this should be interesting because I think actually I might just have enough room to go up against that. I might need a gapping ring. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So what'll happen is I'll put that there to catch it so it doesn't buckle anything. It's fairly straight. There it is. I'm going to have to move this light out of the way. Well, hell, that's an even better light than I had. Really? All right. So this end here cups right into that just perfectly. That slides over the ball joint perfectly. This little cup here sits on there to catch any excess joint that's coming down. Just have to back this out some. There. Now, just thread this in here like so. And then you'll see how this part works. So, the one thing you want to know about this is we don't use lubrication on this stuff. I mean, that's you would think you would, so it would make it go in easier, but you want a tight fit, and lubrication is going to just keep that from happening. So now it's nice and snug, and this is definitely something that can be done with like an impact. I prefer to do it by hand so I can feel what's going on, because with impact it's a lot harder to feel what's going on. And all I'm doing now is just pressing the joint down. Of course, the joint is going in cockeyed. What a surprise. I mean, who would have saw that one coming? Oh, sometimes I tell you, these cars are, just the death of you. Well, it looks like there's probably a little hiccup right there on the side that it doesn't like. So we'll try this again, maybe try to swivel this out. Sometimes when you move things around, they get different angles. And maybe this looks like this angle might work a little bit better. Once you get it down into there, it should go straight down. It's getting it seated initially. That's the problem. And now it's coming down hard on this side. Oh, this thing is just gonna give me absolute grief. I can't believe it. I can't believe this thing is fighting me like this. You can see it's going down cockeyed. So it's straight out and I'm actually turning it down by hand. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is a night of wows. You know, as you can see now, it's just shimmy on down. I think, well, like I said, I'm not going to bore you with the welding portion. I know some people might like to watch that. It's very tedious and, well, kind of boring to watch in my book. So I'm not going to bore you with this. I'll show you the aftermath, of course. I might drop just a few tacks on this one too. Take a grinder and clean some of this up and just drop a couple tacks on there just to hold it in place, because this one is going down relatively easy also. Now, I know this is a 98 and it's 26 years old. And things like this are expected, and they are. But I would never buy a new truck. I'm a very frugal person. I don't like spending money, and I sure don't like spending money on new vehicles. So, I live the old way of life like everybody used to, and that is to fix what you have. So, get this sunk down here. Now it did go down harder as it was getting closer, so that's a good thing. All right, that is all the way down. So the next step is for me to take and drop a couple tacks, a couple tacks right around the edges there. Got to make sure you're not heat soaking. Heat soaking will destroy the grease. Now, of course, I buy joints, U-joints, ball joints, tie rods, anything that I buy greasable. So, technically, you could probably burn out the grease, but whatever burnt out grease stays in there isn't always best for the piece. So, still, I will try to not heat soak this by just zapping weld all the way around it, because then you're just in trouble. You're going to heat soak, and it's just everything on the inside is going to go to crap. And some of these have plastic on the inside, so you really don't want to melt that. So what I will do is clean this up, clean that up, weld a little bit of it, and then we will come back tomorrow, because it's dark out now, so it's probably getting on 8:30, 9 o'clock. So that means it is time for me to go in, have some supper, watch some Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. I love both. I love watching the extended versions with the making of. So you're looking at a total view time of about 72 hours, I think it is. And I do that several times a year. So that's my downtime at night after my day job, after this job, after working on the farm, after bedding everything down. That's my run out. What's yours? So, I will see you guys back tomorrow when there's light again. So, good night for now, and I'll be back tomorrow. Welcome back, everybody. It is the next night, and I have done some welding on the ball joints. It is not pretty. I don't know what's up with my welder. Something wrong with the wire. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's done. But my welder would weld for about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, and then it would just pop. And then it would weld some more and pop, and weld some more and pop. There's a lot of slag, there's a lot of mess, there's a lot of popcorn. And yeah, it is not pretty. That is for darn sure. But you know what? It is in there. And it is not coming out. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I'll grab the camera here and I'll bring you out and show you what I did. You can laugh at the welds just like I did. Like I said, I don't know. It was welding just fine last time. But welders can be finicky things. So, here, let me show you what I did. All right, so that's the top ball joint, and you can see the welds are atrocious. The bottom one is, well, better, but not by much. Like I said, I don't know what the heck happened. Lots of slag and popcorn welding, and just it was just hit and miss. I don't know. Anyways, I got the fitting, the grease fitting on here, Zerk fitting, and I got the one here, which goes up top, and these allow your ball joints to be greased. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten that down. This one's already tightened down. I wish it would have turned a little bit further that way, but I can still get to it. So let me set you back, and we will get the steering knuckle put up here and tightened down. From then on, we got to get the gear set back in the differential and go from there. All right, this is not going to be easy. There's absolutely no easy in this. Mainly because the drag link is still hooked up to my steering shock, so there's tons of tension on it. So it's extremely hard to move up and wiggle around and get into position. But first, don't ever forget about these. These are the grease caps, and you'll find out real quick when you forget these, when the grease goes everywhere. Alrighty, now let's try to get this steering knuckle up. This is not going to be fun, but there's really no way around it. I mean, it's got to be done, and I'm not taking apart the drag link. to get this up here. And what you gotta do is try to hold this behemoth in place while you slide it over both ball joints. I have to use my leg, I guess. There we go. Hold it up, and at least get a nut on it. Oh, darn, that thing's heavy. And put this old nut here. So the bottom, maybe I can still show you. I just have to try to hold this up. The bottom uses, I don't know if you guys can see that. That is a compression nut. You can see the sides are pinched in. That way, when you start tightening it down, it grabs onto the threads. This is similar, but it's a nylock nut. It's got a nylon insert that does the same thing, compresses on the threads. And they are made this way so they don't come off. The compression nuts are extremely hard to get off with regular tools, which is why I'm going to use my impact to get all these nuts on. Nylocks are a little bit easier, but not much. So let's go ahead and get these on here. Well, this socket that I used yesterday doesn't fit the new nut. It's close, but it looks like the other one, the 1 1/8, is the winner. So, take this impact. Now, I just bought this impact. You know, it's a generic, non-brand Genesis. But it gets the job done. A lot of these impacts, if you look at the build, when you're looking at it in different ones, they're all the same. And they're all made in the same factory. They're just labeled differently with whoever's labels want to buy them. So generally when you buy stuff like this, a lot of it's going to be the same. Unless you're buying super high-end equipment. Now, again, this runs about 260 foot-pounds. It's more than enough to get these nuts on. But for higher torque numbers, I would just use my air compressor. I gotta buy a new 1/2-inch drive air gun though. That's why I'm using this and not my air tools. I will use my air tools for some things, but I don't have a 1/2-inch drive air gun at this point. So this is what I will use to zip this up. And as before, being a compression nut, when it finally hits those threads, it starts spinning inside. So what I'm hoping to do is maybe take this nylock nut and zip that up so there's actually more compression. If that doesn't work, what I will actually have to do is probably jack this steering knuckle up, put a jack under it so it pushes on the ball joints, and then I can tighten everything down. But let's see here. Maybe I can just lower this down a titch and you know, my barn is an absolute absolute mess right now, and I am ashamed of it. I should know where everything is. Everything should be in its place. But it's spring. Spring is chaos for me, and nothing is where it should be. So I just have to deal with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this jack down a little bit so it starts to rest on this 2x4. Now, I'm not putting the weight of the truck on the 2x4. It's still going to be the jack under the truck. What I'm going to do is put some of the load here so it presses up on the steering knuckle. And because these are my special dual action hydraulic jack and jack stands, I have to jack it up until the lever goes in the unlock position. And lift it up. And now I'll just crank on the release here. So this jack has its own tools too. I just don't have them over here. They're over in the front of the barn. Maybe I just like doing things the hard way. I don't know. But we'll see. All right. That's pushing up quite a bit. So let's see. See, inside the steering knuckle, it isn't a straight tube. It's actually conical like that. So by pushing up on the cone, because the ball joints are conical too, so you're basically compressing up against the cones together to squeeze them up, and that gives me more space to try to tighten things down. Woo! I am deaf, but it's on. So now the trick is to get this one on. So where did that socket wander off to? You know, it is just a mess. Everything is a mess. Where are all my tools? Okay. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, I don't want to tighten this one down by hand, guys. I really don't. Maybe I can do this. There's a bump stop back there. Let's try this side. And there we go. Ball joints are in, steering knuckles on. Zerk fitting needs to be tightened down. When you live in the north like I do, you learn all about Zerk fittings. Because down south, you guys don't have to worry about rust. Up here we do. And these Zerk fittings fill up with rust, and then you can't get grease into your joints. Then you have to try to take them out without breaking them. And if you do break them, you get to replace the joint anyway. That's nice and snug. These just need to be filled with grease. And that is that. So, that went surprisingly well. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this back up. And who hasn't used a pry bar to lift up a hydraulic jack? I mean, seriously. If it works, can it be wrong? This single little piece of 2x4 saved the day. All right. I really don't want to go up that high, but I might as well. There we go. So now, with that down all the way, even if that hydraulic jack was to lose pressure and collapse, there would still be a jack stand holding it up. I love these things. A few companies that make them now. This one's from Powerbuilt. These cost, depending on where you get them from, these usually cost anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks a piece. And it is worth every penny. If you value the safety of your life when you're under a vehicle, that's the thing to buy, because that will save your life. Alrighty. Now that the safety spiel is over with. Ooh. Well, that's interesting, guys. I never would have guessed that. This drag link or center link, whatever you want to call it, this is not factory, because on this rubber boot here has the word Moog written on it, M-O-O-G. And if you're a car guy, you know instantly what that is. If you're not, Moog is a company that makes drive components such as ball joints and other odds and ends. And they are one of the best companies, in my personal opinion, for components such as this. Now, I didn't buy Moog joints. I bought other joints from a company called Detroit Axle because it came in a packaged kit. However, Detroit Axle unlike a lot of companies, Detroit Axle has either 10-year or lifetime guarantees on their parts. And so, although I had to weld these in, having a lifetime guarantee tells me that their parts are quality parts. And I've used them before, so I already know. But if you're willing to stand behind your part for its life, I think you're kind of making quality stuff. And I do like Detroit Axle and their parts to begin with. So having Detroit Axle ball joints and Moog components in the front end, thumbs up from me.